Next, we are going to hear from our event's keynote speaker, Mr. Marty Miller. Marty Miller is a 1964 graduate of Langston High in Danville, Virginia. At Norfolk State University, he had a batting average of 400 and became the university's first player selected as an NCAA College Division All-American in baseball. In his 32 years as head coach, he compiled a record of 718 wins. You know what? 543 losses, and the 3 means what? Someone help me. Help me, Mr. Miller. Unmute yourself. You're muted.
They're trying, it's also ties. Believe it or not, there's some ties in baseball, unheard of, but we did.
Okay, and 3 ties. Thank you for that. Mr. Miller's won 17 conference championships and was named CIAA Coach of the Year 15 times. Wow, congratulations. He was inducted into the CIAA and Norfolk State University Halls of Fame in 2003, the Hampton Roads Hall of Fame in 2012, and the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our guest speaker, Mr. Marty Miller.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrea, for that introduction. I want to take this opportunity to thank Jimmy Hollins and the members of the committee for asking me to participate in this wonderful program. I am really honored to be a part of the program because tonight you're going to hear about some outstanding individuals who have worked very hard to deserve this honor. And I think that by the end of the evening, everyone here will be appreciative of what they have accomplished. The thing that I want us to keep in mind is that I am excited because I was inducted into this Hall of Fame. And anytime you induct into a Hall of Fame, it always brings a great deal of excitement. When Jimmy asked me to participate and become the speaker for today, I asked myself, and I asked him, I said, Jimmy, what should be the theme for this evening? He said, the glory days. I had to think about that, the glory days. And when I did my research, I wanted to make sure that I understood what that term meant. And the definition that I found is that the glory days can actually be considered a time that is remembered for great success and happiness. A time that can be remembered for great success and happiness. So the period of time that we're going to reference tonight is when the VIAHA was actually formed, and most of us, if not all of us, participated in our activities during this period. And this was the Virginia Interscholastic Association, which is known as the VIAHA, but there was a predecessor known as the Virginia Interscholastic Athletic League before that time. So we came through this particular organization. And the VIAHA was definitely an organization that actually helped to coordinate the activities for our schools, especially during this segregated period. And those activities covers things like competitions for math and science, dance, cheerleading, and as well, of course, you know it as athletics. So it played a major role during that period for us. And I think that most people don't realize how significant that period was for us. Now, the other thing I want you to keep in mind is that when we talk about the glory days, we're talking about a time that was very critical in our lives. And when I mentioned to my son that I was going to talk about what we call the glory days, he had some questions for me because over the years, I mentioned several things to him about when I was growing up, when I was in school, and I'm sure most of you did the same thing. But he said, Daddy, you remember you talked to me about how hot the gymnasiums were when you played, how rough some of the baseball fields were? You remember how you told me about some of the secondhand books that you all received? How some of the physics and chemistry labs were not totally prepared for everything that we needed? And he said, one that I really want to ask you about is when you talk to me about how you all walk to and from school, whether it was raining, snowing, or whatever, and how you had to use this process that sometimes your shoes, the soles on your shoes have been worn so badly, you had to put some cardboard in them to try to keep your socks dry. And he said, you refer to these as the glory days. I said, yes, there's a reason for that. So I'm going to explain to you what I indicated to him. The other thing I want to keep in mind is this, that normally at this function, we have a nice banquet. We get a chance to eat a nice meal. I know at the previous banquets in Charlottesville, we ate well. So most of you now, you don't have to worry about eating tonight. So this is going to help the time of our program. But I want to tell you a little story related to how significant the eating part is. And I want you to understand how significant it may be. When I was drafted and I signed my professional baseball contract, I had the opportunity to go to spring training, which was in Florida. And after a couple of weeks, some of the veteran players came to me and said, Rook, we're going to take you out tonight. And I said, ooh, take me out, because normally veteran players don't associate with rookies, especially in the first year. So I was excited, very happy. So I accepted the invitation. We went out to a nice establishment. When we walked in, the fans and some of the patrons recognized the players because these guys have been playing for years. And they looked at me and said, you must be new, because they had not seen me before. So anyway, we sat down, we ordered, we ate a nice meal. I mean, it was a nice meal. Now keep in mind that I was a rookie. Pay was very, very small then for rookies. And I'm out with these veteran players, and they had been playing for years, these professionals. So they ate well. So I said, I must do the same thing so that they will invite me back again. So anyway, by the time we finished and the bill came, I looked at it and I said, oh my gracious, what am I going to do here? So I pulled out my wallet, start checking my little $2 or $3 I had in my pocket, because, you know, I was used to hamburgers and fries. It was my meal because of our pay was so poor. So anyway, when they saw me over there looking at my money, trying to count it, a couple of them looked at each other and started laughing. And they said, hey, Rook, what are you doing? I said, well, I got to pay for this bill. They said, Rook, why don't you put that chump change back, because we got it. So I'm telling all of you tonight, put your little chump change back, because you don't have to pay for no meal tonight. So it should be a fun night tonight. But the thing that I want you to keep in mind is that when my son mentioned those things to me, some things he did not understand how significant the glory days were for us. And these are some of the things that I told him. I said, even though we didn't have everything that we needed, there were a lot of things that we did have. We had teachers who loved us, and they worked very hard to make sure that we did the very best we could in our academics. They were very, very supportive. Our coaches served as mentors. And in many cases, they acted as though they were our fathers, which proved to be very, very important later in life. And I mentioned to him that these things were important during that time because we needed that to help give us the structure that we needed in our lives. But I also told him there were some other things that proved to be very, very important. When you had to overcome some of the things that we had to do to be successful, it helped to make us who and what we are today. When you look around and you hear about the accomplishments of the individuals on the program tonight, you're going to understand that they didn't get there by accident. what did they get during those glory years that have made them very, very successful? And I can tell you some of these things that they actually got. What it did, it helped to make us mentally tough. It taught us that we couldn't quit, we couldn't give up. We had to work hard to achieve our goals. Although we didn't have everything we needed, but it helped to make, but we didn't make excuses. We knew we had to work harder. We know it, we also know that when we were knocked down, we had to get up. And we know in our careers, and especially some of those who have really achieved these higher honors, you had to overcome a lot of odds. They were not given to us. Those incidents, that environment that we grew up in contributed to that. And it also created an atmosphere that we knew that we had to be better than the next individual if we were going to make it to the top. As I look around today with some of the students that I deal with, I see that some of them are not as mentally tough as we were. Some of them give up very easily. And we know they have had a better life when it comes to things than we did, because many of us didn't have very, very much. But we didn't use that as an excuse to be successful. So we knew we had to work hard. We were going to face what seemed to be insurmountable odds. But we knew that we could confront those odds and we could become successful based on the things that we got during those, what we call the glory years. These are things we got from our teachers, our coaches, and our parents. So that period of time proved to be very valuable for us, even though we didn't realize it during that time, because we thought some of it was punishment, especially from our coaches, how they, they were tough on us. But we found out in later life that it was very meaningful, very, very important. And the other thing that we gained from that period is that it not only helped us to become successful in our endeavors, because tonight, as we have in the past, we've honored individuals who are great educators who made it to the top, scientists, musicians, artists, professional athletes. We have it all. And they did not get there by accident. So those things that they learned that made them the individuals that they are is the reason that they are being honored tonight. But one other important factor that we didn't realize during that time, what it was going to do for our families. We have put ourselves in a position to what I want to call is help to create family wealth for those coming behind us. Many of us, when we grew up, we didn't have a very lot. Everyone knows my story, how I came to North State, started out with $20, going to go to college. You can't tell a young person that today. But through all that hard work, dedication, believing in ourselves, and all the experiences that we endured, it propelled us to a higher level that's put us in positions that we could do better than what our parents did. And it helped to create a financial base for us that is helped our kids, going to help our grandkids, and those beyond. So I don't take that period very lightly. And it's actually more valuable than people realize what it did for us. And I think that all of us ought to be thankful that we had that opportunity to come through during that period. Because now we talk to students, this is a very tough period for students in academics and in sports. Because of the virus, it has created all kinds of challenges for our students. Some of them haven't been to class. Some of them are not quite as prepared as they should be. Some of them haven't seen their friends. Some of them have had tremendous challenges. So their challenges are different than the ones we had. But because of the nurturing we received, the support of our teachers, coaches, and our parents, it helped to make us who and what we are today. And I'm just so thankful that I was a part of that, because I know I would not be here today if I didn't have that type of support. So I want to congratulate all the honorees for enduring the challenges that you encounter, believing in yourself, taking the pride in what you did, making yourself better than the next person to get to the mountaintop. There's an old saying that, you have to come through the valley to get to the mountaintop. A lot of us came through the valley so that we can have a sight on that mountaintop. And tonight is a demonstration of how hard some of these individuals work, because we are noting them tonight. And this is why I want to thank Jimmy Hollins and the committee for recognizing individuals who have achieved these goals. Many of us didn't have an idea that 50, 60 years later, we would receive this honor. We thought all that was in the past. The accomplishment on the basketball courts, the baseball field, the football field, in the classroom. We didn't know there was going to be an organization that's going to come behind and honor us the way that they have. So I want to thank them for keeping our heritage alive, because it was not an easy task. And I'm asking all of those who may not be members of this prestigious group, I want you to join so that we will be able to structure this thing financially to keep it going, because our kids, grandkids, great-grandkids need to know about what we went through and what we accomplished. So, Jimmy, your committee, thank you for forming this great organization that we are a part of, for this great Hall of Fame function, for taking the time to honor and to recognize those that many have forgotten about in the past. And I hope that we will be able to continue this, because I'm looking forward to the next one next year, where I will be able to get 2 portions of my meal since I missed it this year. And of course, it's important that we be able to get together to talk about the old times, because one of the greatest things and the greatest experiences I have attending the banquet is to hear about some of these snowball stories. They have really changed over the years, but it's been great fellowshipping, bringing back these memories and walking down memory lane with these young men and young women who have accomplished so much. So I want to thank you for allowing me just to say a few words and to be a part of this great program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. That was really good. So you got to elaborate a little bit. What are those snowball stories? Are you saying people are like making up stuff? Lying?
Yeah, look, they scored 3 points in a game, but when we meet and talk about it, they scored 33.
Oh. All of a sudden they Jordan.
Yeah,
right.
Michael Jordan and everybody else. I don't remember those days.
Well, I gotta say your speech was a phenomenal one, and I'm of that generation when my dad used to speak about the glory days. Here we go again. But as I've gotten older, I've appreciated what you all went through for my generation and those generations behind me. And so thank you for speaking about the glory days and the glory years, because despite what you all were intentionally deprived of, so you wouldn't succeed, you all did succeed. And you had the people in the support network within, particularly the Black community, to help you all build character, to endure, to remind you that there are going to be people out there that don't want to see you succeed, but there is a village, as they say, that is cheering you on to help build character, help ensure that you're successful and to be persistent. And I'm looking at the people who are listing their names and where they're from in the chat. Example after example after example that, no matter what obstacle was thrown at them, they still persevered. A graduate of this high school, a graduate of this college. So thank you so much for sharing about the glory years. I appreciate that. All right. You're not telling any snowball stories, are you?
No, because everything I say is true.
Okay.
Especially I want to tell the ones about Burley, but I better not do that tonight.
Uh-oh. I saw Jimmy lean forward like, uh-oh. All right.